Welcome to Answering Coding Questions Using Queries. I'm Annie, the author of datachef.io. This is not a beginner's lesson on SQL, but a walkthrough and the thought process on how to answer an interview question. So let's get started. Today we're asked to analyze weblogs and to calculate the user's average session time. The session time is defined as the time between a load event and an exit event. And in case if there are multiple loads and exit events per day, use the latest load and the earliest exit event so that we can ensure that a load event happens before an exit event. And the expected output is for each user ID and their average session time in seconds. So let's load up the data. Okay, make sure we're using Postgres here and we can run it. Uh, this is just preparing the schema. So let's make sure the data got in there all right. Let's do a check. Now you can highlight and hit the run button, or you can hit the command enter, or on Windows, probably alt enter. Okay, now that we verify that the data is in there, let's take a look at, first, before you answer any interview questions, just explore the data for 5 to 10 seconds just to make sure that you understand what's going on. So let's take a look at this. We see that user 101 exists. So let's take a look at user 101. Oh, too many semicolons. Okay, see? Okay, 101, that looks good. Now let's take a look at the load events and event equals to load. Okay, great. So we can verify that for user 101 on January 2nd, they had 2 load events. Here it is. And on the 5th, they have 1 load event. Looks great. Now we noticed that it said if there's multiple load or exit event, for load, they want the latest one. So let's check out the latest one. User ID, transaction timestamp, and maximum transaction TS as last login. Okay. Now, because this is a max, then we need, there's an aggregation function, so you need to aggregate over something. So we'll group by 1. Okay. Oh, before we do that, transaction. Okay. Because it's per day, we need to reformat the timestamp into a date. So let's go like this. Event date, we'll just call it. The as is optional. You don't need to use as, but you can use it. Okay, great. So on January 2nd, since there's 2 load, we want the latest. So it's 8:15. There you go. It's 8:15, 8:15. Okay. And on the 5th, there's 1 load. It is this one. Okay, now we're going to take away the user ID because we need to make it work for everyone. So let's do this. Great. So let's look at 102. 102 had 3 load events. So this is the latest on January 3rd, 12/12/11. And then for, and that's it. And then 103 had 3 load events on January 4th. And so this is 19/35/11. There's 19/35/11. So that's working out great. So we can find the latest by day, the load event. So I'm going to wrap this in what is called table expression, which is really handy because you can kind of modularize your logic here. So with user logic, with user login, I was talking logic. Okay, so then let's make sure our table expression is working. Great, same answer. Now, because there's a login and logout is very similar, so let's create a table expression for logout. And when you chain table expressions together, you make sure you use a comma, right? So we can say you only use the keyword with one time. So user logout as, and instead of max, it's min because you want the earliest for that day. And instead of low, you want exit, right? And so let's make sure this is working. Okay. For user 101, on January 5th, had two exit, but the earliest exit is this one, 14:48:22. It is 14:48:22. And it is multiple exit. Okay. Just double checking here on one user ID 102, the earliest exit is 13:34:34. So the logic is working out. So now they want to know, on each day we have to figure out how long their session was. So we're going to put the login and the logout data together in one table, and let's do a join here. So from user login, we'll give it an alias A, and it's a little small. Let's go over here and expand it. Select, okay, A, join. It's going to be an inner join. Logout B on A dot. What is common between the two that we want? We want to say for the same user ID. B, and also for the same day. Okay, and what do we want to do? User ID, event date, and we want the last first exit. Right, so we want the last log on, log in, and first exit. Now, I can tell you right now that this is not going to run because user ID and event date can be found in this table or this table, so it is ambiguous from a SQL point of view, right? It'll say user ID is ambiguous. So in order to fix that problem, we just have to pick one table. It doesn't matter which one because they're a joint condition anyways. There you go. So for user 101 on January 2nd, their latest login time is 8:15:15, and the earliest first exit is 8:25:33. Okay, and let's look at the one that has little duplicates of both here. 102 on January 3rd, the latest load is 12:0 A02. Where is this? Oh, here it is. The latest load is 12:12:11, and the earliest exit is 13:34:34. There you go. So everything looks great here. Now, because there's a timestamp, you can operate on a timestamp immediately in Postgres. So it will look like this. Duration. Okay, let's see what that looks like. In case, just to make it easier to read. Great. So the time between the login and the exit time is 10 minutes and 18 seconds here. And between here and here is 2 minutes and 28. So everything looks good. Now, but the question is asking us for session time in seconds. So we have to convert this into a second. So because timestamp is an epic storage behind the scenes, so we have to kind of convert it back to an epic. And if you don't know what epic is, I will link definition how do you convert this for an epic, but I'll show you right here. So pick from timestamp minus a timestamp is still a timestamp, so we can just grab this. Okay, and then we can extract. And then we can call this as duration in seconds. Right. Running over. I'm just gonna make a little room here. There you go. Right, let's see what that looks like. Okay, 10 minutes and 18 seconds, 60 seconds to a minute. 60 times 10 is 600 plus 18 is 618 seconds. So this looks great. Now, but the thing is, they just want the average per user, average session time per user. So let's wrap this around a table expression. Okay, remember we need to chain it with a comma. We need to give this new table expression a name as, so we'll just call it user it. All right, I'm running out of space. Now let's go here. Okay, so now we can select from user session and we can say user ID. Okay, average. And we're going to average all over the event dates because we no longer need to aggregate over that. And then we'll copy this as average session in seconds. And then because it's in the aggregation function, what are we aggregating over? User ID, group by user ID, right? Sometimes like as a shorthand, when you say group by 1, 2, 1 means the first column, 2 means the second column. If you're in a hurry, you can do it this way. But the good practice is actually name the column so that it's unambiguous. So let's go back over here and let's just run it. Great. So on average, 101 user spent 383 seconds, 102 user spent 43 seconds, and so on. Now there's a lot of zeros here. So just to be, if you want to make it a little nicer to read, you can always recast it as 9, 2, meaning 9 total digits with 2 commas, 2 digits after the comma. Sometimes this is not enough. You can make it like more, like you're using big number, 15 or something like that. Um, there you go. So this is a little bit easier to read. So yeah, that's how you go from exploratory data analysis to actually answering the questions. Well, thank you again for watching and see you next time. Subscribe and like.